This lesson is going to cover translating and solving equations, taking a word statement and putting it into a math equation, and then solving for that equation. So this first one reads, 5 less than 3 times a number is 25. So we're going to break this sentence into parts. We're going to look at this 5 less than. This actually means something take away 5. So when we write this, we're going to write a minus 5. If it said 5 minus, then you'd literally write 5 with a minus sign after it. But 5 less than is a switcheroo. We had another video lesson covering that. And then we have this 3 times a number. We're going to tune into this part. And that's basically saying 3n. You can use whatever variable you want. I usually use n just because it stands for number. And then we have the is 25, which means equals 25. The word is usually going to mean equals in any of these equation type problems. So now we have just 3n minus 5 equaling 25. We solve for the n just like we did in our previous video where you're going to add 5 and divide by 3. So we're going to show those steps. So we're going to add 5 to both sides and you get 3n equaling 30. Then you divide out the 3 and you get n equals 10. And that's that. You plug it back in. You plug in the 10. Back up here, 3 times 10 is 30. 30 minus 5 does give you the 25. So we're going to move on. The difference of 9 times a number and 7 is 29. A lot of words going on. Let's break it down. When you see the words the difference of, the operation that's going on is subtraction. I'm going to go ahead and write down a minus sign since difference means subtraction. Now I've got that word and highlighted also because whatever was before the and is going to be before the subtraction sign, and whatever's after and is going to go after the subtraction sign. So we have 9 times a number and 7. We've got the 9 times a number in front, we've got the 7 afterwards. And then we have the is 29. From there, to isolate the variable, to solve for n, we would add 7 to both sides and then divide both sides by 9. So we're going to go ahead and do that. We're going to do the add 7. You're going to get the 9n equaling 36. You're going to then divide both sides by 9. You're going to get n equals 4. Moving on, we have the sum of 6 times a number and 4 is negative 8. The sum of is a lot like the difference of, except the word sum means you're adding. Now I have the word and being highlighted as well because what comes before goes before the plus sign. So 6 times a number and 4. So the sum of, we're adding. What are we adding? We're adding 6 times a number and 4. And it is negative 8. That means it works out to negative 8. So now we're going to solve for n. We're going to subtract 4, then divide by 6. We're going to subtract 4. These 4's cancel. And then we're going to divide by 6. And we get the negative 2. Now, if you're still not understanding how to solve for a variable, I do have a video covering how to solve for equations. You should look that up. So now we have 7 more than 2 times a number is 5. 7 more than, it has that word then in the phrase. That's a switcheroo phrase. So it's not going to be 7 plus, it's going to be something plus 7. And then whatever comes next actually goes in front of the plus sign. So we have the 2 times a number. And then it ends with the is 5, always equals. Is means equals. And then from there we're going to solve for n by subtracting 7, then dividing 2. Subtract 7, you got to remember your integer rules. 5 minus 7 gives you the negative 2. And then divide both sides by 2, you get a negative 1. So n equals negative 1. If you plug it back up in there, 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. Negative 2 plus 7 does put you at 5. The difference of negative 3 and 4 times a number is 21. So we have our subtraction sign, since it's difference. Whatever's in front of the word and is going to go in front of the minus sign. And then whatever comes after is going to go to the right of the minus sign. Negative 3, 4 times a number. And then is 21. So we're going to go through the same process to solve for the variable. They've changed the order of the terms a little bit. We're going to add 3, then divide by negative 4. So we're going to show the adding 3. The negative 3 and the positive 3 cancel each other out, and we just add these two. We're going to divide both sides by negative 4. And we end up getting n equaling negative 6. 3 times the sum of a number and 4 is negative 15. This is the last one we're going to do. This one you might see as a 7th grader. We're going to give you a little bit of exposure to it. First, I see this 3 times the sum of. That means 3 times the result of some adding. So that means you're going to need some parentheses. 3 times the result of adding means you need to add first. So it's going to be 3 times whatever in the parentheses works out to. So then it says, well, what are we going to add in those parentheses? It says a number and 4. So the sum of a number and 4. The sum of a number and 4. Is negative 15? Is negative 15. There's a couple different ways you could do this to solve for n. You could do distributive property and do 3 times n and then 3 times 4. An easier way to do it, though, you could think 3 times something is going to be negative 15. Well, what does that have to work out to? That's another way you can look at it. Also, you could divide out, you could treat this like an outside coefficient and divide it out. So the n plus 4 is left, and you have this negative 15 divided by 3. So you have the n plus 4 equaling negative 5, because negative 15 divided by 3 is the negative 5. From here, you could subtract 4 from both sides. You'd have n equaling negative 9. Now when you take that negative 9 and plug it in here, negative 9 plus 4 is negative 5. Negative 5 times 3 does work. So you're going to get a lot of practice with this in class. Make sure you're really being careful. Hope this helps. Best of luck to you.